What's up, guys? Today we're going to be revisiting the Galaxy S20 FE. This is a phone that a lot of people have requested, and I still think it's a pretty good phone. Now, if you are in the market for, an older flagship, this phone is still kind of unique because it's getting security patches and it also has SD card support. So that's pretty much the main selling point of the S20 FE for going into 2024, is that it still has the SD card support and it's still relatively cheap. And yeah, the phone itself, let's see, it's still sitting at around, I think, yeah, $174, so around 174 to 200 bucks. But if you don't care about SD card support, I highly recommend that you get a Galaxy S21 FE. It's just going to be a much better phone. It get longer updates as well too. You can see the price range. They're almost about the same price as well too. But yeah, this phone does have SD card support, so for anybody who takes a lot of video, downloads a lot of games, just content in general, this phone is going to be great because you have that expandable storage. Now, one of the best things about the S20 FE is that it's still a very, very fast phone. So this phone has the Snapdragon 865 chipset on here, and it's also got the Android 13 One UI 5.1 update on here as well too. And this phone is blazing fast still. Snapdragon 865, micro SD card support, 128 gigs of internal storage, and 6 gigs of RAM on the base model. And it's still able to play PUBG at HDR Extreme. And yeah, it's really honestly could do the 90 frames, but it just hasn't got that support. But this phone is really, really fast for gaming, guys. So like I said, if you download a lot of games, then this phone is going to be great for you because, again, you have that expandable storage. And the expandable storage it's an interesting thing because Samsung took it away from the flagships with the S20 one and up, so you don't get any more expandable storage with those phones. So this is kind of like it's like the Note 20 Ultra. People really want that SD card support for the expandable storage. But as you guys can see, it's just super, super fast. When it comes to PUBG, easily can play this at 60 frames. And again, guys, to touch on performance, this phone is blazing fast. If you guys want to compare the Geekbench numbers here, I think these are the correct numbers here. And you guys can see how it compares. It's just a very fast phone in general. Even when you're scrolling or just, in the web browser or whatever, it's really fast. And I think the One UI Android 13 at least made this phone actually a lot more faster than when it first came out. It used to have a lot of like little glitches and stuff for some reason, but it's actually gotten better with age. So it's pretty interesting. These phones actually have been getting faster and just smoother with more updates. Now, also, again, that's why I said the S21 FE will be a good buy because that phone will get Android 15 and 16. It already got the Android 14 update that I showed you guys. But yeah, this phone is still blazing fast. It's not really slow at all. Alright, the display on here is not dated at all. It's a very good panel. It's a 6.5 inch display. It is a 1080p panel, 407 for the PPI. It has the 120 Hz and it has the HDR10 Plus. It still looks really good, guys, and it does a decent job in direct sunlight, outdoors. Completely flat panel, and I think it's still absolutely awesome display, especially for the price. Really nice and vibrant display on here. And yeah, it has a little bit of bezel, but honestly, it's not that big of a deal. What's funny is that it has as much bezel as the newer S23 FE, which is interesting, which I had, checked that video out. But yeah, I still think the display on here looks really great, guys. The design on this phone is not bad at all. It's a very comfortable phone to hold for the most part as well. So it fits in the palm really smoothly. It's got this plastic back on here, and honestly, I haven't had too many issues with this phone. You can see quality wise, I don't have any like major scuffs or scratches. I am really careful with my phones, but I'm surprised this plastic is not all scratched up. But yeah, it has like that kind of like that matte finish to it, but it is a plastic back. It's IP68 dust and water resistant, and it can pick up like oil really easily from your hands. But the sides are metal, so it does have like that kind of premium feel to it, so it doesn't feel too cheap. Overall, I think the hardware, I think it still looks fairly decent. But yeah, I have no issues with the build quality on here. I think it's still pretty nice. The speakers on the S20 FE are still pretty decent. Speakers are still pretty decent, pretty good amount of bass, pretty good mids and highs. Overall, not bad at all. You do have an optical fingerprint scanner on here, which works fine. Haven't had too many issues with it. Like I said, it's not as fast as the ultrasonic. You do have to apply a little bit of pressure to these, but you can always use the face unlock. And yes, this phone does have the Samsung desktop support. It does have the reverse wireless power sharing on here, and basically all the other stuff that most Samsung flagships have, except for like the S Pen support. All right, so I do want to touch on the cameras. So this phone has a 12 megapixel standard and an 8 megapixel telephoto. It has 3 times optical zoom and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide. It can shoot in 4K 60 on the front and back. It has a 32 megapixel selfie. So the cameras on here, yeah, they have aged a little bit, for going into 2024, especially comparing it to some of the newer phones. I think the only thing that's kind of aged for me that I can obviously tell is probably the front facing camera. It is a little bit soft, even if I'm outdoors, yeah, it can be a little bit soft, and sometimes the white balance can be off, and even if you turn the skin smoothing off, you still get kind of like a really smooth look. And yeah, it does kind of that skin bleaching thing. But other than that, the main cameras are actually still pretty good. They're not super high, res cameras, but they definitely get the job done. Really good dynamic range, the really nice popping color on here, great detail. This phone doesn't do that great in low light. Compared to the newer phones, it does okay. If you're in kind of lower light, situation, you will get kind of a softer photo. But video is solid. It's a solid device for sure when it comes to overall picture taking, especially for the price point. It's still going to take better pictures than an A34 or something like that. So the cameras on here are pretty good, but like I said, you can see the age a little bit when it comes to selfies and stuff like that, for sure. But other than that, I think this still takes pretty good photos and videos for the most part, especially if you're in outdoor lighting. Alright guys, I do want to touch on battery life with this phone. It has a 4500 milliamp hour battery. It also has 25 watt wire charging on here, and like I said, you do have that wireless and reverse wireless charging on here. You get pretty good battery life with this phone, even for the age of the phone. I haven't swapped my battery at all, but I'm still able to get around close to 6 hours of screen on time. If you're playing games, then you could probably knock that down to around 5 something, maybe 5:30. But yeah, so overall, it's a pretty good device, guys, for the most part. Like I said, if you don't need the SD card support, go with something else like the S21 FE, S21, something like that. But if you do need it and you like this size device at 6.5, it's still a really good phone. It has pretty much all the same flagship stuff as the newer phones. And again, it's not going to get updates or anything like that. It's only getting security patches. So yeah, so take that into consideration. I still think it's a pretty good buy. It's still, I'm surprised at how much faster the phone actually is compared to when I first got it. All right, so let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.